All right, 11.1, finding coordinates. So they give you the function w, and it's defined by wx equals x plus 1 times x minus 2. So that is a quadratic function, which gives you on a graph a parabola. Okay. Um, One of the things that they want you to do is they give you 3 points. All right, they give you A, B, and then they give you C, D, as well as E, F. Now, what I want you to do is using those coordinates, try to figure out the values for A, B, C, D, E, and F. One of my hints, all right, one of my hints is what number can you plug into X here to get you 0 times some number? All right, because 0 times some number is just 0, right? So what number can you plug in for x to get you an output of 0? Same thing with this x. What x value could you plug in for there to get you some number times 0, which just gives you 0. So that's your hint. All right, so go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so after you pause the video, hopefully you got some values for, let's start with a. We already know that the a value over here has to be negative, right? So what's the opposite of 1.6? And hopefully you realized that's going to be negative 1.6, right? Because if you input negative 1.6 plus 1.6, that just gives you 0. And 0 times any other number, right, is just going to be 0. So a value is going to be 1.6, negative 1.6. All right. All right. So if you plug that in, you get 0, right? So that's going to be your b value, 0. All right. Let's try, tell you what, you definitely need to do CD. I'm not giving that one for you, all right? But it's very much just like how I did with AB. Here's my hint. Look at what you can plug in for there, okay? Now for EF, we know that the value for E is 0 just by looking at the graph. So plug in 0 for X and see what you get. You should get, okay, you should get negative 3.2, because if you plug in 0 for E, or for your X value, right, you should get 0 plus 1.6, and that is times the 0 minus the 2, and all that 0 plus 1.6 is just 1.6, right? And 0 minus 2 is just negative 2, and that's how I got the negative 3.2. Okay, but you definitely need to do CD. Okay, make sure you guys do that one. All right, so next up we have comparing, let's see, I'm not trying to write there, hold on. Select objects. My image went down, all the way down here. That's not good. That's not what I wanted. You know what, I'm just gonna, there we go. Delete button. There we go, okay. All right, consider these two functions. Tell you what, I will do f, you will do g. All right, so let's see here. X-intercepts, vertex, so I need to find those. I need to find that. Let's use my table to figure out my inputs to my outputs. And I'm using, again, f, right? So if I plug in negative 4 for x, I should get something like this, right? And negative 4 plus 4 is 0, and negative 4 times 0 is negative, or 0, right? So that's actually one of my x-intercepts. because when you plug in this x value, uh, your y is 0. So that's one of them. Now let's plug in -3. Get -3 plus that 4, which is the same as saying 4 minus 3, which is 1. -3 times 1 is -3. And they gave us -2 comma 4. They gave us -1 comma -3. Plug in 0. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen, right? Whenever you're dealing with multiplication and 0, it's almost a dead giveaway. So 0 plus 4 is 0, and 0 times 0 is just 0, which is, again, another one of your x-intercepts because the y values are zeros, okay? Now your vertex. You guys see the pattern here? You got -3 comma 3, and then you have 0 happening twice. What we're seeing right there is actually the parabola, the curvature, if you will. All right, and that's a terrible, terrible parabola. I apologize immensely for my ferocious drawing. All right, there. That's a little bit better. A little bit better. Okay, almost looks like a smiley face. All right, so we have -3 here, but we also get a -3 here, right? We get 0 here, and we also get 0 here. What was the smallest number that we had? -4. So that's actually our bottom. That's actually our minimum. And that is also known as the vertex. So our vertex, okay, is at -2, comma -4. All right, everything else is kind of pointless. I mean, go ahead and make sure you complete your table, but that's basically all you're doing is just substituting in your input to find your output. The only relevant ones that I used really was uh, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. All right, so that's basically what I used. All right, so just be aware of the relevant uh, coordinates that help you, especially sketching or plotting the graph. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like on the graph. So if you go down below, there's this little part here. So we did have -5. I'm looking up the table up there. -5 comma 5, which is right there. -4 comma 0, which is right here. -3 comma -3. It's kind of right here. Notice how they jump by fives on your y, but the x's jump by units of 1, so just be aware of your units. And -2 comma -4. And then we start coming back up to -3, 0. I can make my prediction because, again, I should be seeing a parabola, which is what I get. If I was to sketch. So make sure you guys sketch yours. So that's F. Make sure I see G as well on your sketch based off of this. So again, make sure you do the table and make sure you do the graph part and then definitely compare the two. All right. Okay, last part. What do you need to sketch a graph? All right, this one's pretty nice. The nice thing about factored form is it goes ahead and shows you what your x-intercepts are. So going back from the previous thing, what can you plug in here, the previous lesson or segment, what can you plug in for x to get you 0 there? What's the opposite of +3? -3, right? And what's the opposite of -5? +5, right? So if you plug in either one of those, you get 0 on your output, okay? Because 0 times any number is just 0. So your x-intercepts would be -3 comma 0 and 5 comma 0. All right, now the x-coordinate for your vertex, if we think about the parabola here, all right, that's a terrible parabola, I know, but let's say here it crosses at what, -3, right? And then it crosses at 5. Who's in the middle between -3 and 5? And hopefully you said that's 1, right? Because if you think about it, um, half of the distance between -3 and 5 is 8, right? Half of 8 is 4. So if you go 4 units Oops, that's not 4. Sorry, penmanship matters. 1, 2, 3, 4, you get to 1, right? And if you go to the left from 5, 4 times, you get 5 to 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So that's how I got the x coordinate for the vertex. Now, if I wanted to find the actual vertex, all right, 1 comma some number, all I have to do is plug in the 1 into my original function. So if I do that, you get this, plug in the 1, right? X minus the 5. Oops, that's not x, that's 1. There we go. 1 plus 3 is 4, and 4 is going to multiply to 1 minus 5, which is negative 4. And 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. That gives me my vertex. So I'll tell you what, for your classwork, you guys do G and H. You could totally use Desmos if you need to, desmos.com, and you could totally use that to graph G and H, all right? Number 3, they say sketch the graph representing this function, and then think about how you could find the y-coordinate of the vertex. Your hint for number 3 is what I did earlier to find the negative 16 to find my y-coordinate for my vertex. All right, that'll be the end of the lesson. You guys have a beautiful day.